Everyone wants to post about stuff and link to their own website or link to somewhere else that's not on Facebook. Facebook hates that because if you link to another site, that means that person is going off of Facebook and the chances of them coming back and clicking on an ad are slim to none. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and if you're on YouTube, click the alert notification.
So from a personal brand perspective, a lot of times people usually feel comfortable with one platform. I call it repurposing content. They make their content for one platform like Instagram and then just repurpose it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. What are some ways that people can build their personal brand outside of social media, whether it's podcasts or email newsletters? Like, what are the other things that people could be doing?
Yeah, sure. So outside of social media, some of the things you can do to build your brand and your platform is you need to get out there on your own website. See, social media has algorithms. I know LinkedIn and TikTok are great right now and you can go viral, but that's not going to last forever. You controlling your own destiny is super important. So everyone should have their own website and just create a blog. You can do it with WordPress. It takes literally a few minutes to click a button with most hosting platforms, get your domain name, and just start creating content, whether that's articles, videos, and the ones that you're uploading on social media, you can also post on your blog. Collect emails and then start sending out email blasts. Collect text messages like phone numbers. Start sending out text messages every time you have a phone number. When you do these types of things, you'll start building up your brand over time. And it's called the rule of 7. When someone sees or interacts with your brand 7 times, they're much more likely to evangelize you, buy from you, increase your word of mouth awareness by telling their friends about you. So all you really need to do is just create your own website and then leverage the social platforms while they're driving traffic, and then push that traffic to your website. So that way you can control that audience and not be reliant on those social platforms.
So what do you think about business people on social media, especially like Facebook, talking about politics and tougher things? Should they be doing it? Should they avoid it? What are your thoughts about that?
Everyone's going to have a different stance on this. I know some people are very passionate about certain subjects. I tend to avoid them because what happens is you start polarizing, in which some people will do business with you and some people won't. For example, my friend's a realtor and she's a realtor in Nevada, and she deals with multimillionaires, and some of her clients are even billionaires, and she's been doing real estate for 20, 30 years. Someone found out she was a Republican because she started posting this content, and she lost quite a few home sales. That probably would have netted her a few extra $100,000 in commissions this year, literally because she was talking about the presidential election and debate. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, or you should or shouldn't. But the one thing I will tell you is if you start talking about these sensitive topics like religion, politics, there's a good chance you can be a little bit off-putting to a certain audience and you could potentially lose business. So you roll the dice of that. And that's why I don't talk about any of that stuff online.
So what about the blogs, forums, Reddit, those type of platforms? Should be people become experts inside of, like, embed themselves in the internet in that fashion?
You can, if your business is growing, you're doing millions and millions of dollars and you have multiple people in your marketing department, I highly recommend it. If you're running a small marketing team with 1 or 2, 3 people, I wouldn't recommend it. There's not enough time in the day. But if you were to use like these forums or Reddit, look at the subreddits. Don't just try to be an expert on everything. Be an expert within your field. And that's what the subreddits are. For example, they'll have a category just on digital marketing or just on CRMs or sales or whatever it may be. Same with the forums online. Be an expert. Focus on what you're doing. There's a guy named Jason Lemkin, who's known as a SaaS investor. And he goes on Quora, posts all the time, gets hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. And he only responds to the startup related questions and the SaaS related questions. So that's the thing. You need to focus when you're on these quote unquote micro social sites or these social sites with niche communities.
So what about the digital articles and online articles? Is that important to us? Does that help with our rankings? Should we be going out there trying to get not just Forbes and Inc. and those type of big ones, but should we be trying to get the local newspapers to interview us?
You should get whatever you can. Everyone focuses on the Forbes, the Inc., the Huffington Post. They're the hardest to get, takes the longest, and you'll be shocked on how little traffic they drive, because Forbes and Huffington Post have so many sections, and although they get millions of views, unless you're featured on the homepage, your article's usually not going to be seen. So when you get on these microsites, like the local newspapers, it's more likely to be seen because they're not producing as much content. So they're more likely to showcase you on the major category pages or on the homepage. So I would recommend actually going for those smaller sites first. And then eventually, if you have extra time, go after the Inks, the Huffington Post. What you'll find is it gives you a brand awareness. And remember that example Dan helped me with who is Neil Patel. That's an example of brand awareness, which helped with my SEO. The second thing is it adds credibility. The third thing is it also drives business.
So we haven't talked about the big platform, Facebook. That's the one that I always say nobody's ever going to acquire them. Zuckerberg's too young and too rich, and anybody that even gets close to him, he buys them. So WhatsApp, Instagram, etc. What are your thoughts about Facebook and how we can use it better for the long term?
The first thing people need to realize about Facebook is they make money by people clicking on ads. It's that simple. So when you're using Facebook, and people used to do this years and years ago, and they're still doing this today, everyone wants to post about stuff and link to their own website or link to somewhere else that's not on Facebook. Facebook hates that because if you link to another site, that means that person is going off of Facebook and the chances of them coming back and clicking on an ad are slim to none. So if you want to do well on Facebook, create the content that they lack. They want more videos to compete with YouTube. They want more live content to compete with the television stations. So if you do that on Facebook, you can get more attention. Doesn't mean you're going to go viral. No, it's too old of a platform. They already have too many users, but you're going to be better off and you're going to get the most from Facebook. And here's the thing that people aren't doing on Facebook right now that is the best moneymaker. So you guys have probably all seen Home Shopping Network or QVC. Where on TV, you see people selling, they're like, oh, I got this white t-shirt. It's amazing. You know, it was $100. We're selling for $20 and we only got 10 left. And on these channels, they sell that stuff. You could actually go live on Facebook and sell products or services, whether it's B2C or B2B. That converts extremely well. Facebook likes that, and eventually they want to take a cut of that. So you should consider to start selling on Facebook. I know someone who's selling hair products. Every time they go live on Facebook and they sell on Facebook, they're generating 5 figures each time, which is amazing. And they're like, how do I generate more revenue? And I was like, well, you're going live once a month.
Right.
Start going live once a week and then go live 3-4 times a week. Your numbers would just go through the roof.
So what's fascinating about Instagram is it's kind of like 3 different platforms within one platform, right? There's Instagram, the main feed. There's IGTV, the long form, which is on its own separate area. There's Reels, and there's Instagram Stories. Yep. So it's like there's 4 different things inside of the one platform. Can you talk us through Instagram?
Sure. So Instagram has quite a few different things. You have your main feed, which funny enough, they use the algorithm. So just because a friend posts something doesn't mean you're always going to see it. Then there's IGTV for those longer form videos so they can compete with YouTube. So if you create a YouTube video, upload it to IGTV as well, because you just get extra views. Then you got the Reels. Reels is like going after TikTok. Funny enough, I spend so much time looking at Reels and just sending people the memes. And then you have, so if you have anything that's funny or entertaining, post the Reels. And then you have stories. And with stories, you're just sharing tidbits about your life. And heck, you can even go live if you want to include that part of stories or even another area within Instagram. And what's really cool about stories is people can just get a glimpse throughout your day in a few seconds. So the more stories you post, the more engagement you're going to get. And the one thing I would recommend is if you're trying to post stories, also consider going live, because if you go live and you do interviews, like Dan has a lot of followers, I have some followers, probably nowhere near as many as him. And if we went live together in an interview fashion, Dan and I were just chit-chatting, my followers will start following him, his followers will start following me, we both grow our profile. And that's an easy marketing technique that people aren't using much. The other marketing technique that I don't see people using much either is when you're posting stories, you can tell people to swipe up. And if you tell them to swipe up, you can sell them through the story and tell them to swipe up if they want to buy, whether it's an e-commerce product or a service, and go to your website, and then you can convert that person into a purchaser or a lead.